Hey, welcome to Mikey's RC. In this video, I finished showing you how to verify that the settings you programmed in your transmitter are really doing what they're supposed to on your helicopter. So how do we know that our helicopter's actually got these correct values? Well, let's start out. So right now we're in hover mode. We've got the throttle all the way down, and this means that our blade pitch should be about 0 to 1 degrees. Now always remember, anytime you're checking your pitch of your blades, make sure that your flybar paddles are perfectly level. Okay, as you can see, if I tilt my flybar paddle, that throws off the pitch of my blades. So make sure that when you're doing these settings, you keep your flybar paddle level. Now they do sell a fancy tool to do this. It is nice to have, but I want to show you how to do it without that, because that adds an extra cost and it's not completely necessary, especially for just beginning flying. So what I've done is I've made a triangle that actually has 10 degrees of rise in it. And I did that by taking out a protractor here from my old high school days and cut out a wedge that's 10 degrees. So at 0 throttle, we want 0 degrees. Mid throttle, we want about 5 to 6 degrees. Now I don't have that piece of triangle. You could cut that out. But we'll just go for the max setting here and verify that. So I put my throttle all the way up. I make sure that my flybar is level. And now I hold up my piece of paper, and I'm holding up the bottom part of my paper level to the ground. And as you can see, it's almost spot on with the angle of the blade. Now if this wasn't correct and I had too much pitch, then I would go into the swash AFR settings on the pitch and I would decrease that value, and that would bring this back down. Now I've got the throttle hold switch on my transmitter on right now, so if I move my throttle up and down, it's not going to move the actual motor. So make sure that you've got that setting set up for you, because now what we're going to do is switch into 3D or upside down flying mode. So now you can see, look at that. With the throttle stick in all the way the down position, my flybar is level. Now I've got negative pitch on my blade. So if I turn my triangle upside down and still hold it level now you can see that that blade is actually 10 degrees negative pitch. That's exactly what I want. Now if I move this throttle stick up to the neutral position, like that, you can see that my blade is just about perfectly level. And now if I go all the way to the high throttle setting up top, now we're back to positive 10 degrees of pitch. So again, if your helicopter is actually moving the blades too much or too little, the way that you change that is going to the transmitter settings, go into the AFR settings, and go to the pitch, and change the value of that number. That's going to change the amount that your blades move up and down. And lastly, the way that I've got my AFR settings for my aileron and elevators settings on my swash plate is basically 100 all the way around. So I've got full movement. Now for beginners, you might want to dial this down a little bit so that when you go full elevator or full ailerons, it doesn't move your swash plate so much. You might start out with a number like 60. Now there's two more little details we're going to need to go over before your helicopter is completely ready to fly. Now on the canopy, you're actually going to need to cut a relief on either side, here and here. And the reason for that is that when you put your canopy on a lot of 450 helicopters and clones and stuff, the canopy is very close to your main gear. So you need to cut a little notch in that canopy so it does not bind on your main gear. And now the last and final thing you do with your helicopter, and this is something that you do before every flight, is make sure that your helicopter is balanced properly. Now you can see with no battery, no canopy on this, if I lift up on this bar, the helicopter totally tilts to the back. So the way you check your helicopter for proper balance is taking the flybar, rotating it so that it's perpendicular to the main body frame of your helicopter. Take your battery and put it on the battery mount like this. It's got Velcro on it so it should stick for now. And with two fingers only picking up on the flybar, one on here and one on the other side, right here, lift straight up. And watch to see if your helicopter tilts backwards or forwards, meaning this would be backwards and this would be forwards. What you want to see is when you pick your helicopter up by this flybar, it doesn't tilt forward or backwards at all. Now as you can see, my helicopter is actually tilting just a little bit backwards as I lift it up. Now that's okay, because I've got my canopy that I have to put on too. So as long as it's pretty close to not tilting backwards too much, just a little bit of dip, you can put your canopy on and see if it balances out. Now I've put my canopy on, let's see how she balances. Perfect. It just picks right up and stays level the whole time. Now if when I picked it up by the flybar my helicopter did still dip towards the tail, I would just take my battery off and keep sliding it farther and farther down the battery mount until I could get it to balance out perfectly level with the canopy on. And now that you've checked the balance of the helicopter, she's all ready to fly. This completes the basics of the setup for the helicopter with the gyro in rate mode. It should now be ready to fly. In the next video, we'll be covering how to set up your helicopter's gyro for heading hold mode. If you need help learning to fly RC helicopters, watch my How to Fly RC Helicopters video series. In the meantime, please visit the new forum on mikeysrc.com and post any questions you have you want me to answer there.